So as Gerard mentioned, we've got these cool blockchain maturity model postcards all over the place. I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience in being assessed with the blockchain maturity model. So just a little bit about me. I'm a blockchain architect for Oracle, one of the largest software companies in the world, and we have lots of products. We've got a database, we've got a cloud, and we've got a blockchain product on the cloud, or you can do it on premises. And so we took that through the Government Blockchain Association's blockchain maturity model assessment process. So that's what I'm going to talk about. And you might ask, why did we take it through the BMM? Every other BMM customer you've heard about so far was a startup, and we're not really a startup. We've been doing software development since the 1970s. Even our blockchain implementation is 7 years old at this point in time and has been used hundreds of times in production across the world. So we've got a long history of doing this stuff. Why do we think our technology should go through? Now, Gerard kind of gave a hint earlier, about a half hour ago, that fact that governments are becoming increasingly interested in the BMM. And that's one of the things we looked at. But there are some other reasons to consider it as well, whether you're a startup or an enterprise company. First of all, you can think of the Government Blockchain Association as being a standard-setting organization. Just like the ISO or the Software Engineering Institute or many other nonprofits, the GBA is essentially creating the standard and supporting the standard and providing training on the standard. There's actual training classes on the blockchain maturity model, both recorded ones as well as live interactive ones, and they also do live in-person training as well from time to time. And so one of the things you think about when you participate in industry, like perhaps the blockchain industry, is what standards are there that apply to it. Now, if you think about the blockchain maturity model, it's, for those of you who have looked at other IT standards, it's similar in many ways to the Software Engineering Institute's capability maturity model, which measures the maturity of different software projects. And so for those of you who are familiar with that, you might say to yourself, well, why not just go through the CMM? What's special about the BMM? Well, what's special about the BMM is that they focus specifically on blockchain technology. Now, they don't focus on a particular type of blockchain technology, as Gerard mentioned. They're not focusing on Bitcoin or Ethereum or Hyperledger Fabric. Instead, they're looking at your methodology on your technology. Because again, remember, many of the blockchain products out there are being rapidly created, rapidly iterated through startups in a lean startup process, and you can't really focus on any particular technology when you're creating the standard because the startups are so different, or for that matter, the enterprise customers. If you look at some of the major enterprise companies, in addition to Oracle, there are some similarities in what we're doing, but there are a lot of differences too. So you can't really focus on one particular technology paradigm. In Oracle's case, our product is based on the open source Hyperledger Fabric product, which is part of the Apache Software Foundation. But there's many other products out there, and so they had to make it a general solution. So let's talk about what the process was like. So once Oracle decided that we wanted to go through it, we had to think about who from Oracle would actually be participating in it. Because Oracle's, huge company, over 150,000 people. Who's actually going to participate in this? I focus on the government, but we also have product developers. We've got product managers. We've got a whole sales and distribution team and all this stuff. So who do we bring in? So we ended up going with a mix of the people who were focused on the government as well as the people who were focused on product development. And so those are the people who interacted with the Government Blockchain Association's assessment team. And the assessment team was a bunch of people, some of whom spoke here. In fact, Paul, who just spoke recently, was part of that assessment team. Gerard was a part of that assessment team, and many other people who have spoken at this event or previous GBA events. And basically, the first thing we did, though, is we did a self-assessment. Which was just an Oracle internal thing where we took the 11 different standard points that the BMM assesses, and we did our own assessment of it and thought about where we fit in the life cycle for those different points, and we produced a self-assessment. But before we produced our self-assessment, we actually went through a training course that the BMM offers, and we sent several members of the Oracle team through the training course, and we used that training to help us do our own self-assessment so that we were mapping our answers based on the materials we had received from the BMM, and it was produced by the GBA. After we'd gone through the training and we did the self-assessment, then we met with the assessment team and we scheduled out a series of interviews. And then we did these interviews going into these 11 different areas like distribution and governance, ID management, and so forth. And again, for every project, it'll be a little different. In our case, for example, for distribution, we were dealing with a cloud service, basically a cloud service version of Hyperledger Fabric where you're distributing nodes in the cloud. So distribution had to deal with different issues based on a cloud-based solution. That might be different if your solution isn't cloud-based or if you're dealing with a peer-to-peer and so forth. In our case, also, Hyperledger Fabric is a permissioned network, so we had to deal with issues of permissioned blockchains versus permissionless. So I actually want to kind of open this up to questions if anybody has any questions for me. There was. So normally when we evaluate our own software products, and we've got a very mature approach to internally assessing our products, and then also we share them with customers and get customer feedback and so forth. But one of the things that was different about getting the feedback from the outcome of the assessment is this was like a comprehensive look by a third-party expert team. And that isn't the sort of feedback we normally get. We're normally only getting feedback from our internal teams or from specific customers. And so this really did give us a different viewpoint. And so that was a valuable viewpoint all on its own. I mean, whenever you get feedback, it's always good. The customer is always right is true, but then also getting a third party to give you their perspective is also true. So, yes, go ahead. Yeah. So we had a couple challenges, one of which I can't talk about, but Gerard knows what it is. And then the other challenge was really scheduling because in today's distributed world, you've got people all over the place, and it's hard to get everybody available for interviews, at the times that everyone is available. But we were successful. The assessment team was very flexible. We worked very well on scheduling, and we were able to successfully complete all the assessments. But yeah, scheduling was scared me the most, but we were successful on that. Well, my biggest recommendation is go through the training first. I think the training is incredibly valuable. And I learned a lot about the BMM in the training that I did not know from presentations like this, because presentations like this are very high level, and actually going through the training really exposes you the mechanics and the nuts and bolts. Yep. Oh, one more comment. I forgot to mention this one. So downstairs in the tables, there is lots of great vendors. There's also a number of GBA BMM working groups, and also non-BMM working groups. So one of the other working groups I participate in is the Healthcare and Life Sciences working group. In fact, I helped deliver a blockchain solution to HHS, which won a bunch of industry awards several years ago. Highly recommend those who are interested in blockchain and healthcare checking out the blockchain and healthcare and life sciences working group. And they recently launched a coalition for trust and wellness, and it's a really cool industry effort they have got going on in their coalition with other health and science organizations that are trying to bring blockchain to help solve some of these healthcare problems. So please check it out downstairs.
Thank you.